Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, on the 12th day of May 2025. And it is, well, it's not very nice outside, but yesterday was. Now, this video I didn't take yesterday, obviously. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and I went out for a drive without my camera. I just wanted to see people enjoying themselves, and I did. Oh, in huge numbers. Man, Kelowna was awash with people. Huge groups, obviously families getting together, going for lunch, going to the ice cream place. The groups were huge. And when they weren't on walking, there were bicycling, big groups again, all over. It's beautiful to see. So I thought of my own mom on Mother's Day, and I came home to spend time with her. That was her a long time ago. Man, when she was young, they didn't even take pictures like they do now. But this is my mom now. She's in a box. Has been for a while. And I'm not alone in this. There are people out there who have just recently lost their loved one, their parents, their mother, their father. Oh yeah, I have my father with me also. I have both of them. Sometimes it's hard to think about it. You work all your life, you do things, and when you're gone, what's left can be put into a box. Whether it's a box like this, and it is a cardboard box, because to pay the prices for a fancy container, well, I just didn't have the money at that time, and I thought it was a rip-off. It didn't matter what they were in. What mattered is they were in my heart. And I do have both my mom and dad with me, and will always be with me. That was my mom in 1940s. I mean, people think, a lot of young people, that life started now. And, the old generation, oh man, well, they were just old. That's my mom and dad getting married in 1953. And I wonder if they even had the slightest clue about what life was gonna be for them. My mom was young. She was basically a teenager. My dad was just in his early 20s, a cop, and they lived a pretty normal life as could be, except 1955 when I was born, followed by the 1956 revolution, and that's when shit hit the fan. Let's put it that way. They've been married for 3 years. My dad and his brother fled Hungary. They wanted my mom, of course, to be with them, or my dad wanted her to come with him, but she had a 1-year-old baby. And this wasn't going out to the train station or the airport and buying a ticket and boarding and flying. It's fleeing, something that so many people today are still living and experiencing with everything it brings. And, I've heard a lot of the stories and lived them from the time my mom, my dad were apart when my dad fled. Because as a little kid, you hear women today saying, "Oh, I don't need a husband. I can." No. As a boy growing up, I missed my dad. All my friends had dads. I didn't have one. Well, I did, but he wasn't there. There's a lot of growing up that is missed when you don't have your father with you as a boy. We never got to throw a ball around or kick a ball or go fishing together as, little kids often go with their dads. All the things, but that's life. Life deals us sometimes not the best hand. So what do? You carry on. You go on living. And for me, the living began in 1964 December when my mom and I boarded an airplane in Budapest by all legal means with immigration from Hungary and Canada, and we flew out to Canada to meet my dad. Oh, wow, what a shock it must have been to him. You know, there he was, single taxi driver, having a pretty cool life, I found out later, but he missed his family. So we arrived, and he's standing in the airport. I walk in. I'm walking along, holding my mom's hand, and there he is, big, tall guy. And I'm told, that's your father. Now, I've told this story many times before, so I'm not going to go back into it. But life is different for everyone. You know, I am the caretaker of my parents. Some people today don't care about that. They don't care. You know, it's I don't know if it's just easy to accept that when they're gone, they're gone. You don't worry about it. You don't think about it. But the other day, it was really interesting. Luna and I were talking, and I said to her, ask me any question, and I'll answer it honestly. And the question was, if we were able to travel anywhere, who would I want to bring with me? Now, you're going to probably jump at the conclusion, his mother. It's mother, Mother Day. Mother, bring mother. Because she was always there for me. You know, the first 9.5 years of my life was she sacrificed for me. I could never repay. But oddly enough, after much thinking about it, I said I would bring my dad. Now, you got to remember, I didn't have my dad for first 10 years of my life. I had no male influence. My mom didn't remarry. Though I will admit she did have a couple of dates at different times because people were pushing her that, oh, you're never going to see your husband again. You're never going to be with him. Isn't it time that you did something and for your, all this stuff? I've been a part of all of this. I've been a part of knowing that my dad and I got close, very close. And what was most amazing about that is that he trusted me just trusted me. When we went hunting, he told me what to do, what not to do, gave me a gun, and off I went. I worked with him underground in Craigmont Mines when I got out of high school and needed a job that paid pretty decently. So we worked together. But it wasn't about, the way kids are today, about everything to do with, I don't know, money or things. I slept on a rollaway cot bed in the living room, well, even in Merritt when we moved there for the first couple of years before they bought their first house for under $20,000. A nice 3-bedroom house, under $20,000. We're talking about the early 70s. Anyway. And there I go off talking about my dad on Mother's Day. Well, let me tell you about my mother. She always worked. She always put her family first. She always put her kids first. Yes, kids. There's another one somewhere. And yes, we all know about it. It's a different story. Not everyone wants to belong. Not everyone is the same, I guess, is how I can say it. So I'm glad I have both my parents' ashes. I'm glad I remember them. I'm glad that I can tell you that my mom was an amazing woman. She had a heart of gold. She ran a daycare where she could have upwards of 10 to 15 kids a day. She looked after in a house. It wasn't a setup. She looked after them. She taught them. She fed them good food. She cooked for them. She taught them not to touch things. When the people from the government came around to check the residents and said, well, you need to put locks on these doors and drawers because the kids will get in there. My mom said, no, they won't. And why? I told them not to. Oh my God, a new way of teaching. Really? No, she was that way. She only spanked me once. I remember that distinctively. That was in Vancouver because we were visiting some people and I started teasing their kids. And my mom got a wooden spoon and it didn't hurt. It was more of a shock, but my mom, she was the most amazing. I learned to cook from her. I learned to even bake simple things at a time. And she was always there for me. Always there. So, that's what I take away from my Mother's Day, my mother. And I remember that in myself, what I recognize is both my mom and dad. My mom for being caring, kind, trusting, loving, all that. My dad being the same, but he was a lot more strict and a lot more on his feet, is how they would have said it in Hungary. With all that he's gone through in his life, he had a very tough outlook on what was happening. He didn't fall for bullshit. And sometimes it didn't seem like he cared. But for me, the caring came through. And I hate to say it this way because it involves money, but I didn't ask my dad for anything in 2006 when I was going to head off to Los Angeles for a course in video editing. And I was at their place getting ready to go. And my dad said, wait a second. And he went in and came out with an envelope with 20 $100 bills in it. $2,000 for you for what you're doing, because you're doing it for yourself. So that sums up how things were. And I miss him, always will. I know what I got from my mom, what I got from my dad. And that's what makes us who we are.